Right. I have been having quite the amount of fun with Valdo. She's definitely the main hero I'm going to be playing for CC until, probably Super Saiyan comes out, and then we rock around. But yeah, ooh, where do we leave off? We left off working on sort of a defensive-esque deck, right? Where there was a good balance, but since then, I've just gone full into setting up Seismic Surge and Aggression, right? So, ended up taking all the pummels, definitely much better call. They work wondrously well, right? When you do have them or when you don't, especially, a cheeky turn here or there where you pitch one away and then you just start floating through resources every other turn, and your opponent goes to wonder. And the best way to then capitalize on that is the fact that we have Heave 2, which is another thing I always just sort of didn't click, right? I was taking Thunderquakes for the Heave 3, being the fact that, it's a one card setup Valda. I mean, we have Tectonic, so a Heave 2 plus Tectonic is still the same thing. Now, granted, every now and then, sure, you'll be able to Tectonic Heave, but, still, just getting to 3 is definitely good enough. So, Overswing has actually found its place in the deck, and I like this card a lot more than I thought I would, right? Because it's the perfect card to cycle away, and then if it gets stuck in your arsenal, it's not the worst card to play. Whereas Thunderquake, if I can't get rid of it, is awful to have in the arsenal, right? So, yeah, I have been playing a decent chunk, so we have decent amount of games on the first version of the deck, right? Again, a bit more defensive, no pummels, a bit more really giving cards to set up, and then probably every other turn swinging. Whereas this is definitely once you start swinging, you keep swinging. So 25 games total, 60% win rate, which I think is pretty good for me. I remember being pretty excited when we got maxed to like 40, right? So in my hands, 60 is golden, right? So good chunk of different play experience, but we'll take a quick look-see at the deck, and then we'll probably try and find a game. So, any oddball choices? Talk a big game. I actually do like talk a big game for Auxilio and Verdant specifically, so it's a blue pitch wolf for the Arcane, but just being able to get, 1 might, 2 might, or even, best case scenario, you get the crush effect off and you get 4 might out of it, is a pretty beautiful choice. I do like the grandeur, but at the same time, I don't like the grandeur. It's just not great, right? The one extra resource does matter sometimes, but the main idea of the deck is to build it around getting to 3. So again, Heave 2, Tectonic, Seismic Eruption, right? So with that in mind, that one doesn't really do anything. So, it's more just a win more card, and then doesn't block, so it really drops off, right? Now, reds, maybe a little too many, but we have one of each of the bindings. There is a rationale for taking specific ones for the Guardian Mirror matches, so I think better than any others, the Disenchantment and the Smelting, right? Just clearing your opponent's equipment is definitely really nice, whereas, turning off their hero ability, depending on who you're against, isn't maybe the craziest thing in the world, right? Because it's during their next turn as well, so think Victor, they're blocking, doesn't do anything. Maybe you deny the draw effect, but yeah, rationale to maybe take something a bit more less uniform, right? But I like my one of each. It would make it really easy to, go out and find a marvel of each and bling out the deck. But we do have another set, so 6 in total for the Heave cards for the matchup we need. Basically, the base form would be the other 3 bindings and the Battle of the Pulps. Then if we're against, Runeblade or someone generating auras, maybe even Guardian, we go into Renounce and break Stature, right? We can take out probably the Boulder Drops if we're against, Guardian, because they're a lot tankier, for instance, so maybe these don't always get over the line, right? And then for Arcane, we have some blues, and I just slot in the yellows because I need that little bit more pitchability, right, for our Arcane. Equipment-wise, Crown of Providence, Gauntlet Spine Wheel. I'm taking Sunk Water Scalers, so I do like having one piece of the Sunk Water. It's just really nice with the Heave cards. It's a little bit of a drop-down in block, but it's been working out all right? Tectonic, of course, and the Testament of Valahai. And yeah, my worry of not being able to get the full block out of this is just crazy. You can definitely get the full block out of this. There are so many matchups where Valda's ability definitely comes into play, and you get those extra Seismic Surge, and you're just really, really happy, right? There's even situations where you're happy to, take X hit, force your opponent to draw, just because it makes your next turn so much more smoother, right? So yeah, beautiful. Standard card is definitely put them in their place, and Seismic Eruption. But I do also like Promising Terrain, right? Being able to, give your hold hand and then try and bank on the attack. I think that's the only questionableness, right? Maybe I need a few more attacks, because I have missed here and there with Promising Terrain. Posing Visage could probably get cut, right? It is definitely nice, but not as great as I'd like it, right? I don't always have to fetch out a card. I'd rather just have these to play when I do find them instead, right? When we're taking a Seismic Shelter, maybe there's a bit more of a rationale, but potentially cutting this and then slotting in 2 more attacks is not the worst scenario, I think, right? We have the full set of boulder drops for our pummels, definitely really nice to chain into, and Spinal Crush, Cranial Crush, and Disable just because it's the biggest blue, right? And we don't generally have any difficulty getting to this point of pitch, right? So, 3 Seismic Surge for Valda's ability puts us to a 2, then we just go blue into this and Tectonic and we're happy, right? So, yeah, Overswing and the bindings are our heave cards, so 6 heave in total, plus a Seismic Eruption, so, there's 9 ways to get to Valda, in a sense, plus then you have the Promising Terrain S-turns where you can get to 2 off of Tectonic, so that's pretty close. Maybe your opponent draws, maybe you get into something else like Crash and Bash, and you're happy. Crash and Bash is also really, really nice, right? So I'm even taking the yellows, even though they're only 3 blocks, because it is just super, super useful, right? So Crash and Bash, maybe I'd like a bit more defense reaction, but I'm getting by with Solid Ground. So I think I'm fairly happy with where we're at currently. Let's find a game. Right, against Ira. So, win or lose, bound to have some fun, right? And we'll see if my my mind can keep up. Take the batters, and we will take the bindings, I think. There's no tokens that I care about, I believe. I just want the nice big attacks to chip them down. Probably should take Quick Dodge, but I'm not going to take Quick Dodge. I'm going to stick with just that set of armor, because I think it just makes the deck run a little bit smoother. Now, so I could Boulder Drop just for the damage at this point, right? I don't know if that's necessarily worth it. I think I'd rather get the cranial. It's probably just no, it should just be Tine Fist, right? So we go Tectonic off of the pummel, and then we go Tine Fist off of the Boulder Drop. We don't have that much Seismic Surge, but I can always let them draw. I think that's fine. I think we'll let them draw, so then we can Cranial Crush their next turn with the pummel and hopefully be happy. There's, maybe we pummel here as well, just for the damage, right? And then we just draw. But I don't know if I like losing 2 of my 9 pummels straight away. It's nice to draw into, but it does make me want to keep it, and I think I will keep it if they're letting. Surely it's 4 block, right? No? Okay. I want the pummel back around. Sash the Cranial Crush, although, oh, okay. I mean, Spinal Crush is also really nice here. The top-heavy pummels is absolutely not what I was expecting. So, yeah, I definitely want to let them draw up a Mask Momentum and hopefully a Snatch or something, right? So we can get to our 3 Seismic Surge. But this is definitely a bit more awkward. I mean, we get to 3, it's Cranial Crush off of the pummel. We get to, or was it? No, it's probably Spinal Crush just so I can Tectonic, right? I can always cycle one away. And I'm going to go, no, because I'm expecting them to draw, which means that I will get the Guardwell and be unhappy. So I can't block with that, actually. I think it's take the 1. I think, yeah, I'm letting them draw. That's fine. They would have got over anyway. I wonder if they meant to. Yeah. I'm curious about this deck, right? Because it's very Army Desk-esque with a few little tweaks. I mean, I suppose Nip is... Wait, what? Why is Nip at the Heels taken? Just because it's a blue? +1? So I can definitely get over. Their turn is not getting me to a Mask Momentum. I'm sad, and I need to structurally rethink what I'm doing. I guess it's just the Spinal Crush. Annoyingly. I have to cycle something. This is just awful. The Go Again does nothing. They close the chain as well, so it's just damage. I'm not getting the Seismic Surge off of it, so I might as well get the little bit of shield value. It's kind of nice for breakpoints, but I think I'd rather the 2, right? So then we have a 2, a 2, a 2, a 2, right? And I guess I'm cycling... I should cycle the Spinal Crush, hope to play the red pummel. Yeah. Yeah. Draw a blue, please. Thank you. Alright, it doesn't have Dominate, but it should still land because of the pummel, and it's just big enough. Hopefully. Awkward start for both of us, it feels like, right? A Nimblism, a Nip, and just a Torrent. And they pitched the Vengeance. I suppose they should have pitched the Nip, right? It should have gone Edge of Autumn, Vengeance, at least because it's Go Again into Torrent. Something like that. Okay, so this costs 5, so we can Tectonic, right? I can't Arsenal anything. I don't bank on them drawing because I bank on the Cranial Crush landing, so there's no point setting up Promising Terrain. Yeah, so we go that, into that, and we can at least play the red pummel. At least, it sort of slows down the turn. The Spinal Crush would have been a lot better, right? Just taking away the Go Again is a lot more impactful than the draw, but at least, I don't really have to worry about Mask Momentum or them going super wide on this following turn. And claws us back when it comes to damage, which is nice, right? Plus we should get the discard. Yeah, should be enough of a tempo swing for us to be back in control. Third block, interesting. I feel slightly bad, because I feel like they're they've seen, I'm guessing, someone's upgraded form of the Ira Armory deck. And I've seen some really tuned Ira decks, and they are scary, right? Just because you can swap from wide to really big stuff so easily. We'll see. Blade Break as well. That does not seem correct. Okay. Interesting. I'm just gonna pummel. We're just gonna go full throttle, unfortunately. But, you know, it gives me wiggle room to explain what I'm doing a little bit more easily. So, yeah, Cranial Crash means Mask Momentum's off, Whirling Mist Blossom's off, which they're blocking with anyway, so it's fine. They lose card to pummel. So most likely it's 2 attacks or an edge and 1 attack. So I probably just take the licks at this point. We'll go pummel, pummel. I mean, I can get to 2. God, I wish they could draw. But I'm hoping they Arsenal card, because then it's just on my turn. Promising Terrain, Tectonic, stash the Cranial, maybe swing, right? But obviously I can't stash the Crash and Bash. I kind of like to keep it for the following turn. If I get to 2, I suppose I can Cranial Crush and just force them to block anyway. Well, it's taking the 1. And then hopefully whatever's coming next is worth a 4. It's a snatch, it's unfortunate. It's a 5. So, yeah, I can get to 2, which still means I have to pitch both, which still makes this awful. And they're not arsenaling a card. Okay. Do that, and I guess we're just swinging, going toe for toe. I mean, God, it should be Titan's Fist. The problem with Titan's Fist is it's not the best weapon. I'm finding out for Valda, because even, for instance, the Into the Swing, right? 2 cost. We have so many blues that are 0 cost. So aside from pitching an attack into it, and that means, you know, most likely we have to double draw an attack, we're not really getting this off before. And I think in totality, the amount of swungness is definitely very, very minimal. So, God. Maybe it is set up Promising Terrain and just go for a bigger turn next turn. Right? Yeah, I've talked myself into it. I mean, maybe they've bluffed me and it's just a real big turn this turn. I mean, Solid Ground will do, right? And a pummel. I mean, this is exactly what we asked for, to some extent, depending on what we draw for the Promising Terrain. So I do want to get them to Mask Momentum, but I don't want to take too much damage at the same time. I mean, a Snatch would be better than, I guess, the Mask Momentum, because then, you know, I'm more happy blocking more. But we don't have any real good way to block Edge of Autumn, so I'm just taking the chip damage from Edge of Autumn currently. You know, it's the perfect card for, like, Sunquark and Scalers. Seek Vengeance. Also kind of awkward. I guess it's the Battle Pulp. We can't get this out of my arsenal. This should hopefully be a 2 cost, which still means I want to keep the Solid Ground. So it's blocking with these 2 and hoping that Promising Terrain. Again, I want Mask Momentum to land, so I guess it's the Tectonic. I can take the 1, and then Gauntlets into something that maybe gets buffed. Or maybe Gauntlets is always nicer first. Really banking on a blue. If I don't find a blue, I still have... See, is that too much draw? Letting this through? If I shut this down, I shut down Mask Momentum as well. Am I giving it to them? It would be 2 cards off this, 3 cards. So I can play Cranial Crush for free, which means technically I can play the pummel off of these 2 cards, and I can still block with Solid Ground, or I can go wide. I would never suggest doing this, right? But this is one of the matchups where you go, the player's playing optimally unoptimal, so to speak, right? So you have to also play unoptimally optimal. But I mean this is just not good in any sense to give this to your opponent, right? Oh, because I mean, surely the mentality. Well, I don't know what the other card was potentially. Maybe it wasn't something they could swing, but right, you split it up so that, you know, the opponent blocks out the Mask Momentum, but you still bait them into being able to land, for instance, a Whirling because it's greater value, right? That's my mentality at least. But yeah, we have two 3 blocks, a 2 block, and a 4 block at this point. So it's not bad. Not bad at all. It's just staving off the damage, and then hoping it was worthwhile. Should have been Gauntlets. At this point, the extra draw is not good for us. Although, no, this doesn't proc because it's way far. Yeah, it's just for the +1. Which also, they don't have any hit effects. This is where it's weird they gave up their arms, right? Because surely there'd be a way to swing twice here. Ah, lose all colors until the end of the next turn. That's an interesting one. So, absolutely free. I only need 2 resources. If I draw into a blue, I can give up the solid ground as well. Otherwise, this is a 4 and a 3. I guess that's better. Right? And that way I get to keep the blue from my pummel. Absolutely. And then, you know, if I draw a blue, I can arsenal the solid ground. If I draw something else, maybe that's better, right? Yeah. That could definitely have been a lot scarier. Oh, to put them in their place. Well, I have to play this overall. Just because this sets up the following turn, right? And that's why I put them in their place is just so nice. Especially with a pummel, right? So it is tectonic. I mean, I don't necessarily have to. And this is telegraphing the pummel, when there's probably a scenario where I don't want to telegraph pummel. At the same time, they don't have equipment to block. They don't have an arsenal to block. I don't know if they're running 4 blocks, so we should be absolutely fine. I also have to remember to swap on hold priority. There's 2 cards in this. Well, I guess it's, yeah, there's 2 cards. There's Seismic Eruption, and then just the scenario of putting them in their place in pummel. And I always forget to turn hold priority on so I can declare them, especially Seismic Eruption. The amount of turns where I've missed the trigger playing it on the end step of my opponent's turn, right? But yeah, we'll see what they block with. Should get us to 4 Seismic Surge, which means Cranial Crush would be nice and easy to play next turn as well. And obviously we want this to trigger before the pummel discard, right? I just also realized they're a full deck as well, interestingly. So maybe they're just the Ira deck with extra cards tossed on top. Curious. But yeah, beautiful to see put them in their place. So nice, right? Even in the scenario where you don't get the 3 cards off it, right? You get 2 cards or even 1 card here or there. It's just really nice as well. No instance. I will react. Put up to a 14. Nice solid amount of damage. And this also confuses me. They resolve in the reverse order that you add them. So reverse order, so we go pummel, put them in place. I missed the drag. The drag was just easier. Was it not? I can turn off hold priority at this point. No instance. There we go. Right. So yeah, back in tempo when it comes to life, and the fact that our next turn is also set up, which then is a draw denial turn, right? And most likely we can play this off of 1 card. I mean, I'd like to see another pummel. We've been drawing them every turn, so you know, chances are, yeah, it's fine. Another put them in their place though. So let's definitely put them in their place. And then I have Seismic Eruption. I have 3 turns worth of putting them in their places. At this point, I will block the 1, right? Because just put them in their place off a boulder drop. And then it's just whatever comes next with the 4 block. But again, this is also weirdly unoptimal because I shouldn't have the luxury of being able to keep this many cards, right? Put them in their place. Feel the boulder drop. And yeah, because they're not keeping Arsenal cards, they're not going for that tempo check as well. Which it's also a weird thing, because at this point, you know, that's a lot of damage if for instance, they tried to save the Whirling Mist Blossom. Nah, it should have been Arsenal the Whirling Mist Blossom, right? Yeah. And then have that memento. Oh, God. Memento. You know, I know what word I'm trying to say. I can think it. Momentum. There we go. Right? And have that momentum. Similar to that other Mask of Momentum Whirling Mist Blossom turn that they had. But yeah, so don't have to worry about Seismic Eruption. They're still not playing the Cranial Crush because it's just better. I can Tectonic. And then I guess Seismic Eruption the turn after this. Which is now really awkward that I don't have the Crown of Providence to get rid of Cranial Crush, right? If only you were a Heath card. If only there was one other card to flip. A weapon. A weapon that was, no, because I'm still never going to use the weapon, right? But same thing. Flip a card in your arsenal if it has Crush. This gains +1. I don't know, something like that. But yeah, still, this is nice. Get my Surges. Play Cranial Crush next turn, most likely. And then just play the Seismic Eruption anyway. But not having to worry about the draw is definitely nice. And yeah, just Cranial Crush. Or going for the damage. No, it's continued to, you know, cause denial, so to speak, right? I mean, I can give them the Mask Momentum, go to 5. Does that help? Means I can block with the Crash and Bash, and I can block with the Cranial, but I might as well then block with the Bindings. There's also the scenario where I don't have to Seismic Erupt and I can just set up the bindings and then have another 2 turns worth of Dominate, which should be game at that point, right? And that's what I'm really enjoying with Valda, is it's just about getting that 3 Seismic Surge check. So just finding those ways to have that extra little bit of block. Is that worthwhile? What did I say I'm doing? If I get this to 6, I should just block. I have the Seismic Eruption. It shouldn't go more than those 2 games. If they're not, if they're not keeping Arsenal cards to block, right? So it doesn't look like they have any block. So let's let that through. Block with Gauntlets and Crash and Bash the next card, and that plays around any of their +1s. By both being a 5 and denying the plus, right? They gained a resource, they have 3. What do they possibly want to do with 3? I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is the Vengeance Never Rests. Oh, enact Vengeance, I'll do. I mean, that's fine. We have 2 block there, and another 3. Is that correct? Is that what I'm keeping? What do I want? No, the Cranial Crush is still better overall. Because just shutting down draw is what we want, right? And then this plays around giving it +1. Yeah, done. And there's also, we could have given the Arsenal card, I suppose, right? But Tectonic, no, what have I screwed up? I've given 1 too many cards, but then I'd lose the Arsenal. It's fine. Fine. Got ahead of myself. But still just Tectonic, Cranial Crush, set up the following turn. And that should be enough Dominates to win anyway, right? Yeah, yeah. That's into that, and that. And I don't believe this is a block at this point. So it should still land unless they give the Mask of Momentum anyway. There's always rationale to stick this in the arsenal and play it last minute. There's no harm, no foul. There is a Sink Blow. Came out of the hand though, so it's still turning off draw. Flick Flack. Feels like there's a third one too that you could run. I mean, the Tigers are always nice, right? The ambush card. Although I don't think it came in enough block, did it? But yeah, just as an extra attack for Mask Momentum. Or Whirlingness Blossom. Great, it has to be the second attack. So still turning off draw. Arsenal that. And just remember to play it. And then next turn is just Spinal Crush. No more pummels. We just saw half of them. A little bit more than half of them. 4, 5. 4 or 5 is what we saw. So yeah, about half of them in the first couple turns, and then the rest are at the bottom. Oh well. So 4 block. What do I have? I have a 3 and a 1. Do I get anything out of? No, because Legacy's not online because I didn't swing. This has no on hit, so I'd rather save the block for one of the torrent cards that when this hits, it gains go again, or something with an actual effect. Because we're ahead on life, so I don't have to worry about it too much. Yeah, and they would have got over anyway with the Ancestral Empowerment. I mean, again, there's rationale to save the Seismic Eruption and let them get me to 3 instead. Right? And it's just that off of a blue and Tectonic and Seismic Eruption in the following turn. This isn't a huge amount of damage, and we're ahead again, which is, again, probably not how you realistically want to play, but, you take the little advantages when you can. And then Vengeance Never Rests. Did I not create one last turn? I guess I didn't create one last turn. I thought I created one last turn. No? Do I still have to erupt? I mean, I'll take the 1, because then this makes Spinal Crush free. And I'm just going to block out the next Vengeance, or whatever they draw. Because, again, exceedingly greedy. And not what you should do. Right? I get one? Does it? I'm sorry, I'm looking through the, Are they choosing not to draw? Is it May? No, it's just draw a card. Oh. Yeah. I'm paying full attention. Should have been blocking. Oh well, we can still block, and it's still the same thing. Or am I 1 resource short? They're 1 resource short. And this is where I forget to play the whole priority. So I'm going to click it now, and hopefully when they move down their turn, I get my chance to play the Seismic Eruption. Yeah, so we're at 4, it still costs 1. So it's just overswing. So yeah, I should have blocked 3. Oh well. Just, always forget what your cards do. And then this should definitely land, right? And then we don't have to worry about multiple attacks. And then, well, actually, this, unless it's another 4 block, should just be game. Alright, turn priority back off. Alright, so we have 4. What else I was going to do? I mean, I might as well Tectonic since Overswing's going into the arsenal. Yeah. Show me another sink. Alright, go one more turn. Let me load up the Overswing. Let me get value out of the Sunk Water Scalers. I mean, the +1 is deceptively good as well, because there is a decent number of breakpoints where that +1 matters for the crush effects. I'm finding out, right? Especially on like the Boulder Drop cards. Yeah, fortunate. Not enough. Well, there we go. Game with the deck. An interesting game. I'm very much enjoying the deck, right? And I will obviously continue to refine it. So, any thoughts, definitely feed them my way. Other than that, right? It's just essentially once you get up and running, you just continue to snowball. And, there seems to be enough ways for you to go, all right, here's how I get my next 3-sided search. Here's how I get my next 3-sided search. And then just get that string of dominate turns with, again, debilitating effects that are definitely, worth remembering, right? But yeah, we'll leave there. Deck link will be in the description. Hope you enjoyed. Yeah.